Yo everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Steins. When last left off, Okura was having some difficulties with Amadeus Krisu, almost saying he loved her, and now he then hung up on her. Now we had a phone call from her. I decided I want to answer this. What is it? You know exactly what's up. It's rude to hang up. Is something wrong? Nothing. But you look so pale. It's nothing really. Leave me alone. It'd help a lot if you wouldn't talk to me for a while. Don't push yourself too hard. Contact someone you know, okay? Bye. Krisu gave up easier than expected. Well, see, had we not picked up, I feel like she would have just kept calling. Maybe she realized that as an artificial intelligence, there was nothing she could do. Realized? I was making her sound like a real person. And the second that thought crossed my mind, I almost saw an image of a bloody hand. I gritted my teeth and waited for it to pass. Should we turn on my turn my smartphone off until I count down a little? You can do that? No, I don't want to. I think it would be a good idea to keep your smartphone on in case of someone else needs to call us. I was fine just a moment ago, but now even hearing Krisu's voice was enough to send me into a panic. I'd gone back to how I was half a year ago. Back then, even hearing Chris's name was enough to make me dizzy. I shouldn't have messed with this. I shouldn't have tried to chase Chris's shadow. For now, I should just turn off the smartphone. No. But in the end, I couldn't make that decision. No, it was a silly decision. I've sort of the impression that somewhere down the line we might need to use the time leap machine or something. I don't know, but having your smartphone in this world is very important. Especially with, other people might want to contact us. I gulped down an entire bottle of mineral water and caught my breath. There was still a little time before my meeting. I wanted to get some air up here and recover a little. I looked down over the scenery below the overpass. The city was in Christmas spirit. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. It was the exact opposite of me. I took more deep breaths. I still felt like I wanted to throw up. I was getting a headache too. If I went to Dr. Lean's skin like this, I'm sure I'd worry him. And then I realized that the two girls coming up the stairs were looking at me. I peered into the late afternoon darkness to try and make out their faces. One of them, the girl with the short haircut, waved. Oh hey! I knew it, it's Okurine. Hi there. Oh, you're Mayuri's friends. They were Mayuri's friends and fellow cosplayers. I think their cosplay names were Katie and Fubuki? I don't know their real names. Which was Katie and which one was Fubuki again? Are you okay? You don't look so good. I'm fine. I like how even their names in the bottom still haven't changed, even though we know which one they are. If I made them wait here and they talked to Mayuri, it would cause a big fuss. I didn't want her to worry about me when she didn't have to. I shouldn't have come back to Akihabara anyway. I'd run into people I knew just walking through town. I should have gone towards Kando when I left the shrine. You always look like you're hurting somehow, Okurine. Do I? You do. Fubuki? When Mayushi looks at you, she looks like she's in pain too. And when I see her looking at you, I feel like I'm going to cry. Wait, what am I saying? This Fubuki girl must really care about Mayuri. I felt a little better after hearing that. Who's the girl you like? Wow, that was blunt. The girl I like? The image of Krisu appeared in the corner of my eye again. The feeling in my hands when it took her life came back. No, calm down. Ocarine? I'm sorry, that was rude to ask. Are you really okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Katie and Fubuki were looking at me, worried. I got away from them as fast as I could. Oh. X-Day Protocol. Ooh. Oh hey. I want to stop being a tester. When I started the conversation with that, both Dr. Linskin and Maho looked shocked. We were meeting in a room at a luxury hotel in the heart of Tokyo. I felt like the sort of secret meeting you see in a spy movie. Maybe it only felt that way because the old me wouldn't completely gone. Because the old me wasn't completely gone. There we go, that makes sense. You can't just... It's irresponsible. Maho seemed to finally understand what I meant, and her anger was clear. Maho, calm down. Lin Taho is the one helping us with this test. I'm grateful that you took up the offer after all. If you quit here, you're not being irresponsible at all. Don't worry. The Linskin smiled and offered me his hand. I took hold of his giant hand and shook it back, but I looked down, unable to look him in the eye. I'm sorry. Still, I would have liked it if you had continued. I took quite a look at the logs, and I see you've been talking to her quite a bit. And the way Krisu speaks of you is very different than the way we hear at the laboratory. Than what we hear at the laboratory. Humans are, by nature, social animals. They change their words and actions depending on the situation and who they're speaking with. We can assume that Amadeus is doing the same. That's why I wanted you to continue the test a little while longer. By the way, why did you decide to quit? Did talking to Amadeus become painful? No, it's the opposite. The opposite? Talking to Amadeus, to Krisu, is a lot of fun. But that scares me. And then I desperately tried to explain the feeling that were welling up within me, even though I still don't understand them myself. I told them how scared I was that I was starting to see Krisu and Krisu as the same person. I thought this might put a lot of stress on you. I'm really sorry. But that reaction of yours is very interesting. In the sense that you're interacting with Amadeus from the perspective of someone who isn't a scientist. It's very valuable to me. I hope you'll forgive me for saying that. I'm a scientist at the core, you see. No, I understand that I'm being selfish here. Mao hadn't said a word for a while. She was frowning, and she seemed to be intensely focused on studying Amadeus's logs. I don't want her looking at me because it made me feel guilty, but... Alright, if you want to stop being a tester, that's what will happen. But, do you mind if we leave the access program on your phone? Huh? From now on, it's up to you whether or not you want to talk to Amadeus or not. I'll tell Krisu not to contact you. I don't want our relationship with you to end today. You're the first friend we've made in Japan, and also, hey, we're friends. Maho would be sad. Professor? I understand. It felt like giving in. But at the same time, I didn't want to lose my relationship with Dr. Leanskin. My goal of going to Victor University hadn't changed at all. And then Dr. Leanskin got a call on his smartphone. Oh, excuse me, I have to take this. Now, make up with Li Tao while I'm gone, okay? Dr. Leanskin left the room with a mysterious wink. I was left alone with Maho. I'm sorry for yelling. No. The professor's right. We're the ones asking you for a favour. Amadeus is like a sister to me. No, more like a child. And it feels like you were throwing her away, so I'm sorry I can't help you. I think I understand how you feel, or at least I thought I did. Maybe. Maho sighed again. I'm no good, am I? My prefrontal cortex probably came out all screwed up when I was born. That has to be it. Yeah? The prefrontal cortex is part of your brain that defines your personality. It also handles information filtering. When there's something you don't want to admit, it cuts out that information, or deceives you as to its meaning. I don't really understand. In other words, it tries to hide your emotions and tells lies, not to other people, but to yourself. Like how I'm trying to hide how I feel behind a wall of scientific jargon right now. I think it's my prefrontal cortex that's doing it. That would apply just as well to the old me, Hoin Kioma. When I realised that, there was nothing I could say. I think that's... Wait, there's nothing I could say, or there was one thing I could say? Oh. I think that was true for everybody. It's worse for me. Probably. Just from now on, whenever you feel like it, talk to Amadeus. It doesn't have to be for long. I'll think about it. Let's do it now. I can't do it now. Maho flopped back onto the sofa. Hey, can I ask you a question about Chris's mom? I happened to hear you and the professor talking about her at the party that one time. You said something happened at Chris's house? Oh, that. Maho seemed to remember it quickly. She nodded. I got a call from Chris's mum. Someone set her house on fire. What? Was she okay? She said she was gone that day, so she was alright. That was a relief. After all that happened, I really don't want Chris's mother to have to go through any more. Chris's mum seemed to really like me. She would invite me over on my days off all the time. So I'm worried. I hope she's not caught up in anything weird. Weird? I noticed the way she said the phrase. A cold chill ran down my back. It wasn't just an arson case? Well... Mao seemed unsure if she should tell me. Hayojo. I urged her to speak. She nodded slightly. Well, at first the local police investigated, but after that some people saying that they were with the FBI came. The FBI? Yeah. I understand this wasn't the case the FBI would usually be involved in. And surprisingly, a neighbour saw the arson. Supposedly. And from what she said, they didn't look like your ordinary arsonist. What do you mean? There was more than one? She said they looked like some kind of special force unit. They barely said a word, and once the fire started, they got right into the car and left. I don't know if this is the right word, but it looked really, they looked really good at their job. And they said the fire spread really fast. Was she trying to say this was no ordinary arson, but the work of a professional? I couldn't laugh away the possibility. I knew for a fact there were people like that in this world. And the neighbors said they were speaking Russian. Well, we all know who is living in Russia right now. Well, in Russian prison right now. And it makes sense to think of in the perspective of Russia where they think they would keep their information. Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Basically, the Russians were trying to destroy any other places that might have documents on their time machine. And being the wife of the guy they have in prison's house, that would be a good target. Russian? The first thing that came to mind, whether I liked it or not, was Nakabachi. Half a year ago, he'd stolen a paper about time travel from Krisu, his own daughter, and used it to seek asylum in Russia. Could that have something to do with it? And there's one more thing. Right after Chris's death, something weird happened at the lab. Someone who said they were a Japanese detective visited us with some of the local police. They said it was a joint US-Japan investigation on Chris's death. Of course, we helped as much as we could, but a few days later the university asked the police, and they said that no such detective had come from Japan. So the Japanese detective was a fake? That's not all. The local police said they never searched our lab. In other words, not only the detective was fake, but everyone who came here and said they were with the police were also fakes. After that, Maho shook a little and wrapped her arms around herself. I started to wonder if there was something else going on with Chris's death. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I think that maybe Chrisu was killed in for some other reason. And whatever that reason was, it's been covered up. It's because she was about to invent time travel. I was the one who killed Chrisu. The police never found out. They never would, probably. No one could prove the murder had been... no one could prove a murder that had been committed by a time traveller. The police had announced that a foreign thief had snuck into the storeroom and killed... storeroom and killed in the radio building, and Krisu had been killed because she saw him. Supposedly there was an international warrant out for the thief's arrest because he'd already left the country. And when I killed Krisu, the only other person there, Dr. Nakabayashi, it was eerie that his name hadn't come up at all. Russia, Seren, the time machine. I remember the feature that Suzuhao, or perhaps I should say John Tyler, spoke of. She said that World War III was going to start within a decade. And it would be the time machine that set it off. The EU and Russia would be in a race to develop it, and then even the America would intervene. That would be the spark. Were we at the center of a chain of events that result in the deaths of 5 billion people? Was it 5.5 or 5.7 or something like that? Anyways, I couldn't help but feel that way. Chrisu wouldn't be able to rest in peace like this. I want to know the truth. The truth? I couldn't stop myself from shaking as I looked at Maho's face. You want to know the truth? That was dangerous. If she tried to learn the truth, there could be no doubt that she would put herself in danger. The rounders, who came crashing through the veil of night, my childhood friend who died in my arms after being shot in the head, and after that, the nightmarish and seamlessly endless time loops. All the horrors that I experienced in the Alpha World line came flooding back, and I fought to stifle a moan. But that's something you should leave to the police. Do you really think so? If nothing else, you shouldn't think that. If nothing else, you shouldn't think you can do something about it yourself. There's just so little that one person can do. After I said that, I regretted it, because it was too late. Maho's gaze had turned into a piercing glare. Do you know something about what happened? Busted. My panic was about to show. I quickly covered my face with my hands. Oh yeah, because that will make it less obvious. Yeah. Sorry for being weird. Whenever Chrisu gets involved, I can't help myself. I really liked her. She was a really good girl, an amazing one too. I liked her too. Yeah, I can tell by watching you. A heavy silence filled the air between us. I felt like I had to say something, but fortunately, Dr. Leanskin came back just then. How about some dinner, you two? Maho and I nodded and stood up from the sofa. Okabe, will you tell me more about what Chrisu was like when she was here sometime? Yeah, whenever you like. I was just barely able to smile back at Maho. Whew. I saw a dark blue van come across the corner of the underground parking lot. Its tires squeaked a little. It wasn't a Japanese car. It was a station wagon that looked like a sports car from some foreign manufacturer. I don't know a lot about cars, but supposedly if you purchase one from a dealer, it could easily go over 8 million yen. The reason I knew all this was because the car's owner had told me over and over. The station wagon stopped in front of us, and there was a short bark of the horn. Associate Professor Izaki came out of the driver's seat. While I was eating with Dr. Leanskin and Maho, he'd called me about something else. When I told him I was having dinner with them too, he offered to drive us home. It's weird that we don't actually get to see Dr. Izaki. Just goes to show how unimportant that person is, sadly. Dr. Leanskin had tried to refuse, but Izaki had insisted so much that he had no choice but to accept. He had a pretty nice car for an assistant professor. This was the cause of a lot of speculation around the college. Some people said his family was rich, and others said that he had a wife of some CEO as a Patreon. He once quietly told me the truth, that he was single and spent all his money on this car. But who even knew if that was true? Izaki was acting like he he was a professional chauffeur, opening the rear door and escorting Dr. Leanskin and Maho. Dr. Leanskin thanked him and got inside. Maho went around to the back to load up her luggage. Really, way to go giving him a creepy voice. This guy seems nice. Not bad, Okabe. Looks like he won over Dr. Leanskin. He grinned and poked me with his elbow. You better not lose this connection, you know? For your future's sake. Right. He was a hard guy to hate. For an associate professor, he seemed kind of shallow. It was one of the unfortunate things about him. He waved to me and opened the driver's side door. What was that sound? At the same time, I heard the strange sound. A hole appeared in the window on the front passenger side. Eh? Izaki screamed and fell back on his butt. The rear window exploded. Oh. What the heck's going on? I panicked. Was this some kind of supernatural phenomenon? I was too confused to move. And then in the corner of my vision I saw someone. A man I didn't know appear out of the shadow of one of the pillars. He was holding something strange in his hand. It looked kind of like a handgun. It was tiny, with a short barrel, and kind of flat. I couldn't see any kind of silencer. Who's that? I remember him from somewhere. I felt like we'd met before. Where? I thought, but nothing came to me immediately. The man was standing there, mumbling something to himself. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It's better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the valley of Himon? The name of the valley eastern Israel, in the south side of the old city district of Jerusalem. The valley was once where impure garbage and extradited prisoners were disposed of, executed, and it was always filled with fires, black smoke, and horrible stench. It was also where human sacrifices were offered to Molech, and so was feared and avoided by the people. The sight of this valley, constantly burning with unholy fires, became linked with people's minds with the idea of hell. Later, Gehenna would become the symbol of hell. Gehenna? The Hebrew root was, which became the, and later, okay. Huh. There was an aura of intensity and madness about the man as he pointed his gun at us again. The souls God granted dwell within us, the children of God. They never dwelt within silicon. Izaki stood up, turned around and fled in terror like a startled rabbit. That sound again. It was so soft and light. I couldn't even imagine that it was a gunshot. But this time, the car's windows didn't break. And it didn't blow a hole in me either. It missed. He was too focused. Was he too focused on Izaki? But you won't be that lucky again. Move! Whoa. I pushed Maho into the back seat and crawled into the driver's side. Thankfully, the engine was still running. I slammed down on the pedal without even bothering to shut the door. Doesn't Okabe not know how to drive? The sound of a powerful engine shook the underground air. The attacker flinched at the incredible noise and vibration, but the car didn't move forward. It didn't move an inch. Shift? You need to put it in drive. Dr. Linskin and Maho were keeping their heads low in the back seat and shouted loud enough to be heard over the engine. I took my foot off the accelerator and glanced over at the gear shift. It was stuck next to the N. What am I supposed to do? Do you have a license? No? What? And then, through the window's shield, I saw the attacker ready his gun again. He was aiming at me. It looked like his eyes told me he was ready to kill without hesitation. His soul will not dwell within silicon. Crap! Cracks like a spiderweb appeared on the windowsill. Something went past the side of my head. I felt a sharp pain. At the same time, a ringing in my ear. All the other sound faded away and started to disappear. I felt myself passing out. And then Maho jumped over the seat and slid into the passenger side. Close the door now! My mind was pulled back into reality. I slammed the door shut just as she told me. Maho shifted from neutral to drive and leaned over on top of me to grab the wheel. Floor it! I slammed the accelerator so hard that, for a moment, the wheels were almost spinning in place. Then the car leapt forward. The attacker was getting close. We were going to hit him. I was about to take my foot off the accelerator when... Leave it! Maho shouted. I gritted my teeth and did as she said. But there was no impact. Evidently the attacker had leapt away at the last second to avoid being crushed. But there was no time to confirm as the car raced through the parking garage. We were going too fast, and since Maho was controlling the car from the passenger seat, she couldn't keep it going in a straight line. The car spun to left to right, and I was almost flung out the broken window. I grabbed on the edge of the seat as hard as I could. We headed for the exit, slamming into walls and pillars as we went. Who was that guy? No idea. Right, go right. I could see an exit sign right in front of us. I can't turn fast enough. I pressed the brake and put my hand on top of Maho's, turning the wheel to the right. But that was the wrong thing to do. The rear's tires slipped. The car spun in a circle. And then it came to a stop. Are you okay? Yeah, what about the professor? I looked back and saw Dr. Linskin laying face up on the seat, giving me a thumbs up. Oh, that guy's awesome. Let me take over. Right. I quickly put my hand on the door and got ready to get out the driver's seat. But then I saw an old, creaky sedan rumbling towards us and shivered. I saw it was the man from a moment ago. He was following us and moving really fast. Get out, he's going to ram us. This door, it won't open. Had it broken when we slammed into the wall? I grabbed Maho out of the passenger seat and rolled outside. Dr. Linskin rolled out the rear door. It was less than a second afterwards that the sedan hit. if we'd been even just a little too slow, we would have turned into mincemeat. I stood up and offered Maho a hand, then moved away from the unrecognizable wreck that used to be a car. Are you okay? Thanks. Oh, okay. Both cars were smashed together. The attacker's sedan was completely embedded in the rear half of the car we'd been driving. There was no way he could have survived. There were no tire marks in the ground, which meant he'd slammed into us without braking. I shivered. I'd almost been killed. Anyway, we need to contact the cops. I was about to pull out my smartphone when a security guard's heard the commotion came running. Excuse me, please call the cops. Please. The security guard nodded and contacted the police. Ow. It hurts. I could feel a pulsing ache on the side of my head. A shot from the gun had grazed me. I hadn't felt the pain all the while. I hadn't felt that pain at all while I was driving. There we go. I hadn't felt that pain at all while I was driving. I fearfully reached up and touched it and felt blood flowing from my temple down my face. I got when I saw that my fingertips had turned bright red. I almost saw Mayuri when she was shot in the head. I almost saw Krisu when I killed her. The images felt like they were about to come flashing back to me, and I struggled to stay standing. You're covered in blood. Did you get hit? Maho went pale. Is this a bad place to get hit? There's something called the suprafractal temporal artery there. An artery located in the temporal branch of the external of another artery. It travels from the neck to the head, between the temple and the ears. It supplies blood to the skin, ears, and jaw joints. Let me see. I'm going to touch you a little. Dr. Linskin looked at the wound. When he touched me, I felt more pain, but I gritted my teeth and endured. It's okay. You're not that badly hurt. I'm glad. Use this. Thanks. I put the handkerchief he offered to me at my temple. The guy who attacked us. He was the one at the semester. Really? Don't you remember? That was the guy you yelled at. Oh. That's right. It sounded like he was insulting Krisu, so I shouted objection at him. That was the guy. Was this his way of getting back at me? Not a chance. The souls God granted dwell within us, the children of God. They never dwell within silicon. Huh? What's that? He was saying that before he fired the gun. Was he talking about Amadeus? I don't know. I could faintly hear police car sirens in the distance. The hotel security guards and staff were gathering. Hey, how do we explain this? Tell them exactly what happened. I mean, we don't exactly know either. And then Maho's eyes went wide. She, Dr. Linskin, and the crowd were staring at a single point. I looked too, and almost screamed. Woe to the world, such things to come. Woe to the person through whom they come. The man crawled out of the wreckage of the sedan covered in blood. And then he struggled to his feet. He looked like a zombie. All his limbs, except the one holding the gun were All his limbs, except for the one holding the gun, were pointed off in impossible directions, and I could see what looked like a bone sticking out from them. His stomach was torn open, and each time he crawled forward, I could see major organs covered in blood falling out of the hole. But he moved towards us as if he felt no pain at all. It was such an awful sight that no one could speak. The man unsteadily aimed the gun towards Dr. Leanskin. He must have been on the verge of death because his arm was flailing around too much, but Dr. Leanskin's expression was of pure terror. He seemed unable to move. Blasphemy. Soul. Whoa. Professor, run! His shot ran out. Fresh blood flew out of the man's head, and his body was blown away as if it had been hit by a truck. He fell to the ground, still clutching his gun. He tried to crawl forward anyway, but soon twitched and stopped moving. The crowd began to scream. What? The attacker had been shot? Did he shoot himself? No, that gunshot was clearly different than the last ones. Who's there? Who just fired? I looked around. I could see several policemen coming from the entrance, but none of them had their guns drawn. And the crowd was nothing but security and hotel staff. I couldn't see any of them carrying a gun. Who had fired? And where had they fired from? And the way they took the attacker's head off with a single shot. Not just anyone could do that. What's going on? Of course no one told me. Afterward, the police took us into custody. And with that, I'm going to end the episode. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!